Bud Light parent company stock downgraded by HSBC amid branding crisis. Huge sales drop. This is the Fox Business story. HSBC downgraded Anheuser-Busch and Bev stock to hold, citing a crisis following Bud Light's marketing campaign with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney. HSBC Carlos Laboy expressed concerns about the brand's response and the significant drop in sales, stating that the way this Bud Light crisis came about raises many questions. Sales of Bud Light in the U.S. plummeted, reaching 1% of the company's global volume in sales, stating in the first 3 weeks of April, retail sales, store sales of Bud Light also experienced a sharp decline of 21.4% compared to the previous year. In contrast, Coors Light and Miller Lite saw sales increase by almost 21%, exactly same percentage. Laboy questioned the decision-making and risk assessment of ABI's leadership, that's Anheuser-Busch, asking why did its U.S. leadership underestimate the risk of pushback given the recent experience of other firms? Is AB hiring the best people to grow the brands, engage risk? That's the question. So do you think America, how we are, we forgive, we move on, they're going to do a Budweiser, they're going to do a commercial, and the frogs are going to make a comeback, and we're going to be like, you know what, man, I'm reminiscing. I want to have a Bud Light. Forget this guy. They fired her. Do you think we're forgiven, or do you think this is going to be something that's going to be around for a while?
Yeah, it's Spuds McKenzie. I got to throw that one in there. Going way, way back. That's a great question. I've tried to think about this, and I think over the next year, it's going to be a big deal. I think over the long run, as far as the overall parent company, I don't know if it'll make that big of a difference because they have so many other brands. People don't even realize.
Company.
People think that if they're, go from Bud Light over to XYZ, it might not be Coors, it's something else, that they're doing damage, but they don't realize they're just going from one of their products to another of their products. I don't know that it'll have long-term consequences, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think if you look at it as an individual brand, or if you look at it in a company, if you look at it as an individual brand,
good point.
Is what matters now is what the competitors do with the opportunity. Because now there's weakness. Now there's something for the taking, and it all depends on how the competitors respond. And I don't think the response is in a week or a month. I think, as you said, the response is what happens in the next year. But I think Patrick's right. I think Americans are very forgiving. So they're forgiving until you break, and I don't think Pat's broken. I think
people tend to forget.
Yeah,
I think Pat's absolutely right. They're one good commercial away and about 6 to 12 months away. People being like, you know what, those Bud Light guys, we're drinking again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there was 2 commercials that Dylan Mulvaney did that pissed people off. Number one was the March Madness commercial, where basically he, she, it, the, them, whatever he is, couldn't define what March Madness was. He's like, I think it's something about it. It was just so obnoxious. And the second one that pissed people off was the one in the bathtub. And to Rand's credit, about his capitalizing, Coors Light did a commercial of a dude just kind of sitting back in his bathtub.
Oh, like a parody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How many dudes are just taking baths? And they called it the best seat in the house. And he's watching a game, kind of like a macho man watching a basketball game, in his bath, versus juxtapose that with her doing her little dance in the bathtub. But Bud Light has been made some of the greatest commercials of all time. Between the Was Up stuff. Yeah, you
change this.
Rob can't handle it. He can't handle this.
Actually, I'm glad I don't have my glasses on now.
They completely missed the mark on this.
Who approved this?
Well, we know who approved it. It was that one lady basically saying, listen, for forever, Bud Light was this sort of fratty bro type of brand, and we tried to move away from that. But it's like, that's your market. Dudes who drink beer, not she-females that drink.
I could argue
beer in bathtubs.
I could argue the other side too, because if I'm going out, let's say, like as an example, when you came down to Medellin, I think I was drinking old fashions, and I love old fashions, drank them for the last 5 years or whatever. But now I was turned on, I don't even know how, to Don Julio, Don Julio 70. And man, that is good. And now I drink that when I go out, and the old fashions are just part of history. So maybe people that go from Bud Light to Coors Light will never ever go back, and they have to rely on the younger people that are coming into drinking age going to Bud Light, and that will definitely take some time. But it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Adam's more of a rosé guy. He likes dessert.
Hey, if you're buying, I'm drinking. That's the kind of guy.
These are just bad American beers, but for branding, America is forgiving, but I think that this one's going to cling for a little bit, because the longer this trans thing and what's going on in the election is there, I think that doesn't help them on their effort to bounce back. But there's so much heritage and so much brand equity, as it's called, with Budweiser as a whole. I think there's an opportunity for them to come back, but I do not think that this dialogue and all this controversy on trans is going to help it go away anytime soon. Because you have to remember, you need the controversy to go away, and the longer the controversy is gone, the longer. Remember, once upon a time, every female football fan in America was upset with Brett Favre because he was sending images and stuff, and everybody was disappointed in him. He wasn't our hero anymore. But the longer it was since that, and his wife had breast cancer, and he got a divorce on her, there was a real schism that was there. But guess what? People get on with that. The longer the controversy is away from you, and the more you just show who you are after that.
You're saying you wouldn't exchange a text with Brett Favre today, like you're over it.
No, I will.
There's some
I will quote
racy images that you might want to take a look at.
Charles Barkley, who was talking to Ernie about it, and he said, "I just got one thing to say, Brett. If you're gonna do that, the one rule is it's got to be ginormous." And Charles Barkley said that. And it's like shaking his head, So I think the longer, I think the trans controversy has got to, kind of normalize a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that will be away from the brand, and the brand can make a comeback.
And
but
when
it's a
does it become
bonehead move.
socially
It's a
acceptable?
bonehead move.
How would you feel right now going to a pub or going to a party and holding a Bud Light?
Yeah, so this is what I was going to.
Well, let me tell you something.
Right now, today, you're at a party, you're at a pub, you're at a nightclub, and somebody hands you a free Bud Light.
Now, is it in a can or is it on
It's in a
draft?
can.
Because it's on draft. You're never going to know, buddy.
It's in a can. How do you feel?
No, you don't.
How do you feel?
People are getting in fist fights when they're drinking cans of Bud Light in a pub.
Yeah.
This is a serious thing. This is
a very good point.
I can give you a
This is a
real
serious
world
thing.
example.
Tom, when you were
yesterday.
drinking Bud Light in a can at the bar the other day, tell us what happened.
Hang on. I'll give you a real world example yesterday. Take my daughter, we go down to see Miami Marlins, and we got standard stadium food, and I noticed that right there, it was just like the pictures you see on social media that I was thinking maybe they're making it up. They took the picture of the Bud Light counter, nobody standing there. Maybe they took that when it just opened and nobody was there. It was legit. Nobody was standing there. They were over there getting Yingling and other beers that were there. But that little Bud Light stand, that poor person was just sitting there with a little blue shirt.
Come on.
And they weren't buying.
Rand hit the nail on the head. No dude wants to be at a stadium in a Bud Light line while he's trying to get some
Let
food
me ask
and
this
hang out
question.
with some
When's the
chicks.
last? How many guys wear Adidas? Who wears Adidas?
I
You
wear
like
Adidas.
You wear Adidas?
Yes.
Okay, Addy, Adolf.
Yeah.
The founder's name was Adolf.
Yeah.
And you know what Adidas is linked to?
What?
You're not aware of what
Nazism.
Adidas is linked to?
I didn't know if you can tell Nazism. I didn't know that.
That's what it's linked
I
to.
thought it was two brothers. One of them was
Well,
Puma,
but
one of
it's linked to that when you go to the dark history of Adidas, right? And then if same goes with Volkswagen.
As a young man, he was
Right.
part of the young
So-
Volkswagen,
Yeah, but the point is, I mean, if you were Adidas today and if you were Volkswagen today, that means eventually you're going to drink Bud Light. Okay. The history tells us.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
How long?
But the how long is, could be, he said 1 year. I don't know. I don't know, 1 to 5 years. And by the way, the way you do it is the following. Here's what you have to do it. Here's what you have to do. You have to fire the CEO immediately because you have to show everything rises and falls on leadership. This happened under his watch.
Agree.
You fire the CEO, you fire the CMO, you fire the marketing department, you find a replacement immediately, then you make a statement saying we have to go to a different direction, and here's what we're doing. We brought XYZ from this place. His background's got to be military, his background, because the current CEO used to be a CIA agent.
Now it's
so
different.
You got to bring a different kind of a guy that comes in, and maybe you're going to say, hey, I got this guy, he's more, boom, here's a new vision, this is where we're going to be going, and then boom, the rest is history, people move on. So this happens, but for now, they're going to take a hit.
When you look at the stock market curve and you look at how it went up, up, and then you see COVID, and then you see it goes up again, this is COVID. This is Bud Light's Black Swan, but if you zoom out in 100 years, you'll eventually just go back
So what
up.
you're saying is, if in a week you get an email, okay, them asking you questions saying, hey, we would like to sponsor your podcast, would you take it? $100,000
Not a
per
chance.
month.
Not a chance.
How about $100,000 per episode?
Not for sale.
$1 million an episode.
Not for sale.
We will let you be the CMO to Linda, the new CEO of Twitter. Would you take it?
Not for sale.
So you're not going to take anything from Bud Light right now.
No.
But you will a year from now. And you were Adidas. Why don't you do it and wear Adidas
I would need to see. I would need to see what they did.
lifetime supply of Adidas shoes with Bud Light and a brand spanking Volkswagen parked outside 0 to 60 in 10 seconds.
I'm just thinking about. I'm thinking of a practical. I'm thinking of a practical question.
And also,
can you imagine
Volkswagen
a guy? Can you imagine any guy walking up to any bartender in any club? Can you imagine how he would order the Bud Light? No, it's like
just whispering it out there. Well, I won't whisper this. I'll make a public announcement to the CMO of Bud Light. If you want to pay me double what you paid Dylan Mulvaney, I'll jump in a bathtub fucking right now.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's
Just
not a
pay me.
high-end.
Let's go.
And also, Valuetainment's also looking for a headline sponsor, and they are in talks with 3. You said
No.
there is first space for a 4th.
No, because
Gold Light.
it's not a high end. But, there might be, if this was Hennessy, maybe there's people that would defend Hennessy because it's a high end beverage. But Bud Light is not a high end beverage. To make Bud Light, you feed a gallon of water to a horse, you put a bucket under the horse, right? That's how you make Bud Light. It's a simple filtering process.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.